this idea that we are X, Y, Z, it's outdated. If you ever felt constrained when people try to label you, put you into a box, you would like to see that I find that every one of us is limitless. But I also understand that in this world, in this society, labels and categories and definitions serve its purpose. Let me unpack this. How could we be living actually and really without categorizing and without labeling? Ask yourself, would you really be able to understand reality without labels? An example here, you are a doctor, imagine, but you are also a médico, but you are also a doctor, but you are also isha. Sorry for my Japanese. It's just a word to identify someone who has this experience or maybe who has these studies or someone who has this knowledge and can work as a doctor. A word, a social construct that helps us understand reality. Because without these words and without these labels and these categories, how would we really understanding reality? When you live in another country and you don't understand the language, everything is blurred, everything is gray. You cannot differentiate words, you cannot understand what they are saying because labels serve us to compare, to identify, to refer. And yes, compare. And compare, I don't say compare in a bad sense, like this usually that we see comparison in a negative light. I see comparison as neutral. With you compare from a neutral place without adding this emotional charge. Comparison is just a tool to identify things, just to reference, just to categorize. But I don't use it with this emotional charge that we are so used to see, like, oh, comparison is horrible. Yes, comparison is horrible when you add this emotional point to the comparison and you start judging which of those things that you're comparing is better or worse. So actually this is the way labels hurt us because we add so much emotional attachment to them. And if we see them as a tool, we will realize that they are actually useful. So this division, this categorization, this identification, referencing, comparison, whatever you want to call it, it's there for a reason. And we can understand ourselves in dynamics, in community, in relationship, thanks to these labels. But they are a double-edged sword as well. They can limit us, they can make us believe we are just this label, we are just this word. And suddenly our limitless self becomes limited. And we have then limited beliefs and we can act based on those limited beliefs, which sometimes it's really not helping because maybe we want to reinvent our life, or maybe you just want something simple as making new friends. But if you are labeled with the shy, for example, shy person, maybe you don't feel empowered to put yourself out there in new different environments to find new people because you really believe that label, you have it ingrained in yourself. And we need to understand that they are only shy related to a specific situation. They are shy because someone said to them they are shy, but they are shy in that dynamic with this person because the other person maybe is less shy or the other person has their own judgments. But in the vacuum, they are not shy, they could be anything, you know? So we need to understand this detachment. We need to understand labels as a tool to understand reality, as a tool to understand our position in dynamics, in relationships. Our positions may be that I am more talkative than my partner, for example. So this is a position, like I am more talkative than my partner, but it is always referenced to my partner, you know, because maybe I meet someone else that it is more talkative than me, so this label doesn't make sense anymore, you see? Coming back to this example of living abroad or living in another country that is different to your country, like in my case, I mean, the UK is not too far away from Spain, different culture, but not too different, you know, they have cultural differences, but it's not super different as could be in another cases, but it can help with the next point I'm gonna have, because when you are moving to a new country I'm not talking here about language, I'm talking here about labels in general. When you're moving to a new country, that is why you get this feeling of fresh start, because you are starting from scratch. You don't have any labels, no one knows you, and no one knows how you are, no one knows what you value, no one knows how you live your life, so you can reinvent yourself. And that is why this is a really nice feeling when you move abroad, that you can experience situations in which people tell you you are XYZ, and from different points of view, different backgrounds, different people. I've met so many different people over the last several years in the UK, and every one of them think of me different things. So what are my labels? Who am I really? So these labels don't exist. The only labels that are always there are the labels you put yourself, are the labels you wanna identify with, because the outside ones that people say or society says to me are outside of my control, first of all, and second of all, they change. They are not constant, they are not the same. For one person, I am this way, and for another person, I am the contrary. So that is not giving me any stability, in this sense. So if you detach from all these things that people said to you, you can get to decide, to be empowered to decide which ones you want to keep. Then it comes my second point of this video, how to handle these labels, or how to handle labels when people said to you something that you don't identify yourself with, or you don't like that thing, or you feel deeply bad because inside yourself you are a bit like what they are saying, but you're trying to change it maybe. So how do you handle? Well, there are two ways. You can stay or you can leave. Neither of them is better. It's just a case by case, and I'm gonna explain the two now. So as examples, for example, in the UK, I'm always gonna be a bit Spanish, Of course, I have my Spanish background and I speak Spanish, I have my family, everything. But imagine, I love to have a coffee after lunch, I love some Spanish lifestyle sometimes, that it is more noticeable if I am among international people, So I'm always gonna be a bit Spanish, but I don't really care because I love being Spanish too. I fully embrace that. So I'm gonna stay in the UK, So this is when I'm saying stay or leave. And then leave could be a situation where maybe a friend says to you that you are selfish. And keeps saying it to you maybe twice, maybe 3 times. You really need to assess if this person is gonna have accountability for this. You really need to assess the pros and cons of this relationship. Much more complex issue, because when it affects you, you really need to assess how much time and how much energy you are gonna put in this. 3 concepts to kind of study to handle these labels better. First one, detach from this emotional baggage or this emotional attachment that you have to the label. Detachment is what makes us empowered to define ourselves. So if we really detach, as I said before, comparisons are usually in this society seen as, oh, comparison is really bad, do not compare yourself, whatever, because this comes from a lack mindset, because when you compare, you are really emotionally attached to this comparison. You see someone traveling around and you think, oh, I wish I would be there. But also this is in a negative side of things, because you are maybe chilling at home and you don't know that this person traveling around is really, really tired, and that person would wish be in bed by now. But you don't know these things. You really get really emotionally involved that this person is in Bali, for wherever, traveling around, and you get really attached that you don't have it. So that is the problem I see, because when comparisons come from a lack mindset, they are bad, they are hurtful for us, of course they are. But they can also be approached from an abundance mindset. It's like saying, okay, I am in bed chilling, they are in Bali. I admire that they can do this trip. I wish I could do something similar. How can I do this? I am finding that this is inspirational. It's how to use social media as well. Like if you use it from the point of view of lack, you're gonna always feel hurt because people post their highlights, you know? And if you see it from the inspiration point of view, that you are okay chilling in bed as well, you don't really know how this person in Bali is feeling right now. You don't know if this person in Bali is going through a breakup. You don't know anything about it. So if you detach yourself, okay, comparison for me is just you in bed, one element, you in bed, one element, chilling, a happy day, no ups and downs, just stable day. You went to work out. From this point of view, you see someone on social media in Bali. You can decide from a lack mindset to say, oh, they are in Bali, they have a better life, how miserable my life is, how happy their life is. You don't really know. You are just assessing someone in bed, someone in Bali. For me, comparison neutral. Both are neutral beings, both have positive, negative emotion situations. You don't really know what this person is going through. So you can decide from this detachment and in a neutral categorization or a neutral comparison, you can decide that you're okay in bed, they are okay in Bali. You can decide to admire if you really like this Bali thing. You can decide that this post is kind of inspirational, or they inspire you to book a trip to Bali, or they inspire you to travel more, or they inspire you to create more videos like this when you travel. Whatever it is, if you approach it this way, comparison changes. It becomes admiration, it becomes inspiration. Also, when you approach comparisons and these labels as neutral, when someone calls you selfish, you need to understand that you are only selfish compared to what they think they are. If they think they are not selfish, they're gonna call you selfish because they see the gap in between how you behave and how they behave, or how they think they behave. So you really need to understand that they are just saying this from their prisma, so their reference, so their point of view, based on what they think is true for themselves. So this is when my second point comes, which is detach from the person, the source, the people who are saying this to you. Consider thinking critically, consider being the observer in that situation. So who is telling you that you are selfish? Why? Are they tense in that moment? Did you have an argument before that? Are they having a good day? How are they really? Do you really think another 5 people, if you ask them, they're gonna call you the same? Observe your life. Don't get that attached to what the person is saying, and you may have more empowerment and you may be able to think more critically. Observe, but not absorb. I'm gonna put a link on a past video that I recorded about thinking critically, decide wisely, that it really revolves around this topic of critical thinking and assessing the situation, the person, the surroundings, for you not to get that affected or that emotionally attached. And the third point, there is a quote from the minimalists. It's a quote saying, you cannot change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. Sometimes you put so much effort, so much energy, and it's not really working for you, for your mental well-being, for your energy levels, whatever you want to call it, and you feel powerless. You need to realize that this quote, you really cannot change people. If you are constantly feeling down, really hurt, and you think it's not worthy, you can change your social circles, or you can change the people that you're hanging out with, the people you align with, because you have other values and you cannot change people's values that easily if they don't want to change. Also, you need to understand, if you want to fight for these relationships or these dynamics or these people in your life, if you want to fight for those, maintain those relationships, don't expect changes in dynamics to happen overnight. It's gonna take time, effort, energy, so patience and compassion are key. The key point of this video is to understand, truly believe, reprogram our mind if necessary to the fact that labels, particularly the ones we don't like, they are not real, you know? And we can always reinvent ourselves, change our belief system if necessary, even though it takes a lot of effort and a lot of conscious habits and decisions. But yes, they have also a purpose. So we need to understand labels as tools for us to understand reality, our position in life, to understand everything, but they are not who we are.